It's Wednesday, August 11th, 2021, and welcome to episode 43. Today I'm joined by a very special guest. He's a professional triathlete, aspiring hair model, and all-around badass. Joining me from Bedford, New Hampshire, it's Adoh Doherty. Adoh, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Goldie, what is up, my man? It's nice to see you again.
You're welcome. Well, I'll tell you, did you enjoy that aspiring hair model there? I threw that in there.
I do. I love it, man. You know I take care of my curls.
Oh yeah. For those just listening, he has a beautiful mane of hair that I am very jealous of because I was not blessed with such a gift. So,
but you rock the hats, man.
Well, you gotta hide it.
True.
So Adoh, let's give the people a little introduction about yourself. Why don't you give them a quick bio?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Adoh. Thanks for having me, Goldie. First off, my name's Adoh. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I'm a runner turned triathlete. I ran track and cross country basically my entire life for as long as I can remember. I got a scholarship to University of Oklahoma. I ran cross country and track there. I specialized in middle distance to distance events, 8K, 10K in cross country, 1500 steeplechase on the track. And I did that 5 years for school. And then I turned to triathlon because I ended up suffering many injuries, you know how it goes. And that ended up putting me in the pool or on a bike, ended up becoming strong in the other two disciplines. And USA Triathlon Collegiate Recruitment program recruited me out of college, and I signed a contract with JP Elite June of 2020, and
Wow.
Now we're here living full time with their team.
Wow, what a cool story. So, had you ever swam or like been a competitive swimmer or biker at all, like in your childhood, growing up, or anything like that until college?
Nope. It was always running. My dad, so running. It always started with running because my pops was an All-American in the track and field Hall of Fame, all that jazz. And no, I'm deficient in the swim actually, Goldie. So the swim is kind of where I lose a bit of my time. But I started swimming about a year and a half ago when I had the plan to do triathlon. Okay. But I ended up doing a lot of cycling, never competitively, just during injuries through stress fractures that I acquired from running.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's just kind of like a natural. Now, had you given any thought to triathlon at all before they approached you and were like, that recruitment program?
Here and there, I always felt as though I never was maximizing my potential. I never had more than 14 months of training without a 6+ month injury. So I always thought, how am I going to be able to, because I've always had this Olympic dream, right? So I always said, how am I going to be able to make the Olympic team if I can't even train for a year consistently with running, So I always had something in my mind that it just, the running, I wasn't getting the traction that I needed. I wasn't getting the success that I needed. And so I didn't say it was triathlon, but I knew that there was some untapped potential in there.
That's so cool. And when you started doing triathlon, how does that program work? Is it something where it's like, they approach you and then is it a specific distance that you start to get into off the bat, or because from my personal experience, I didn't get into it until later in life. For those who don't know, I played professional indoor football in my 20s, so I was never an endurance guy. So I got into it later in life just to scratch that competitive itch, and I didn't know anything about it. Where you had that, it sounds like you had a lot of guidance. You know what I mean? So they learn about your abilities and then steer you towards a certain distance, or how did that work?
Right. That's actually a good question. So the CRP, the Collegiate Recruitment Program, they are tailored specifically to assessing, recruiting, mentoring, and then shaping the next Olympic triathlete. And so that's specifically short course. The Olympic distance, for those that know triathlon, the Olympic distance is considered short course in triathlon. So it's sprint, Olympic, 70.3, and then Ironman. So when they're recruiting, they're looking for the next Olympic distance, Olympic triathlete.
Now, have you crossed paths with Chase McQueen at all?
Oh, we have crossed paths. I know the name. We've been at the same races. But I only, aside from knowing the name and knowing his coach and the program that he's in, But yeah, I know the name well.
So
Heck
he's
of
in a
guy.
different program than you then?
Yeah, so he's also a part of the I believe he's also we're on the same collegiate recruitment roster, but so yes, we both represent the federation, USA. However, he has a contract with Project Podium, which is a different coach under Parker Spencer, and I have a contract with JP Elite under my coach James Peterson. So, but we're under the same umbrella of this program that's recruited by USA Triathlon.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So I mean, this is really because I was reading about I googled you a little bit, binged you out,
Yeah.
and one of the things they talked about, one of the articles that I came across was like you mentioned earlier, your dad, was a big inspiration for you, and I thought I read something about like the Olympic rings were above your bed.
Yeah,
right?
that's it.
See,
that's my story, Goldie.
I did my homework.
You sure did do your homework.
So so you're shooting for 2024, right? Or not 2024, 20.
Yeah,
25?
well, 24, 28. Yeah. So for the listeners, should I share that story that you just read?
Oh, please do. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. For sure. So and we touched upon it, but a lot of it goes back to my pops. The key inspiration, honestly, in my life. And I want to say I was 11 or 12. I think I was 11. And I remember sitting in my dad's Hall of Fame induction ceremony. He was a hurdler. He was an incredible, incredible is an understatement, hurdler. And at a young age. And I remember sitting there as a kid. I was kind of foolish, but I always had these big dreams. So I'm sitting in his Hall of Fame induction, and I don't really know what I'm watching, but I know it's greatness, So
it doesn't hit you when a kid like that,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's my dad, It's like I don't know. It's just my pops. Like
right.
he makes me French toast, So that's kind of when it clicked, and so it's insane. We have an interesting relationship, he and I, probably not like most father-son relationships, where it was almost like, yes, it's the authoritative figure, but is he my coach? Is he my dad? Is he my mentor? It was an interesting relationship. And so no 11-year-old and their father should be having a crazy conversation like this. But I remember it vividly. We were watching, it might have been an Olympic year as well. And I remember saying, like, I more than anything, I want to be an Olympian, and I want to do, because he was so close himself. I want to do what you couldn't do. And that was out of pure respect, no disrespect at all.
Right.
I truly feel as though, like, I was brought here. I was given this passion by God. I was given this gift by God that I was almost, I'm going to be used to finish the job, the Doherty job.
Right.
And so we had this conversation, and he said, if you mean it, I'm going to help you. And my family is so incredibly supportive, my mom and my sister as well. But he said, if you mean it, we're going to do everything we can to make this happen. And the next day, Goldie, he came up. I was sitting on my bed, and he got a hammer and nails and the Olympic rings, and he's hammering up on my wall. And he said, if this is the dream you want, he said, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be harder than it is easier. And he said, these are going to be the first things you see when you wake up, the last thing you see before you go to bed. If you want to do it, you're going to have to stop visioning it now. I was 11 or 12.
That's incredible.
And I'm already having this insane feeling that just like, this is what I feel like I need to be doing. And every year that goes by, I've had injury after injury. I broke my back in 2 places. I've broken each leg. Every injury you could imagine. And but no matter what, this goal has never changed. I close my eyes, I still see these rings, and so it just started at such a young age that it's just, even on those worst, dark, injury-prone months and years, the Olympics has to happen.
So when you were a kid, because triathlon didn't come into your life until later on, and because of injury.
Yeah.
So when you were a kid, were you like, I'm going to be a hurdler, or I'm going to be a sprinter, or was that like the goal? And then so Olympics has always been the goal, but like the channel how to get there has kind of changed.
Right, exactly. And so it's always been track and field. It was always track and field. We used to sit and watch the Olympics every 4 years, he and I, and it always was track and field. It was going to be in the 1500, the metric mile, if you will. And so that's why we started to go about the process. Let's get him a club coach. Let's get him around athletes that'll make him better. Let's get him all this other stuff. So let's get him a scholarship to college. And it was always going to be track and field. And it was never sprints. He was a sprinter. I was always going to be a little bit longer distance. But that I believe the series of events, they say blessing in disguise. And I truly believe God placed me there. He walked me through all these injuries because I had to get this mental toughness, this grit. I had to develop something that you can't teach in practice or in a locker room. No coach can tell you this. You have to acquire these skills, as you go. So it ends up turning to triathlon when I realized that Olympic passion is still burning, but my times and my body is just not cooperating. And I never reached my full potential in college. And then with USA Triathlon and all that, the Olympic dream was reignited higher than ever. That's with amazing. Triathlon.
Wow, what a cool story. So obviously you have a passion for this. I mean, is this so you've only been so how old are you?
I'm 20. I just turned 26 last week.
So hey, happy birthday.
Thank you.
So I just turned 35 July 22nd. So we're not, our birthdays aren't too far
happy
apart.
Happy belated to you as well.
I'm a lot older. But so 26 last week, and in college you were, 21 when you were getting out of college. So you've been doing it for about 5 years now, triathlon?
No, so okay. My clock's a little bit messed up. I took a gap year I transferred out of schools. I took a gap year, and I ended up not graduating college until I was 24. So it took me a little bit longer, and my clock's a little different. And with athletics, you have a little bit more flexibility with when you graduate and stuff. So I graduated in 24. I've been a full-time triathlete since June of 2020. So a year and a couple months.
Wow,
yeah, we're still early here, Goldie. We're still early. We're still early, man. Yeah.
Make me feel like a friggin' Jamoke here, man. That's amazing.
No. Don't feel that way. Don't feel that way.
So so explain to me. I mean, I got to try to understand that, like, what being a professional triathlete, like the day-to-day life. So, I guess we'll take a step back. Let's take a step back here real quick. So the point of this show that I have is to inspire people, no matter how young, how old, just to expose people to, like, different lifestyles, right? To understand, like, you don't have to, like, work a job that you don't want to do, or, maybe you're looking for that next achievement, this next goal. I've had a 43-year-old inline speed skater who didn't get into skating until he was like 40 years old. Now he's going to national championships. I've had just a bunch of different, I have a 60-something-year-old bodybuilder who's trying to become the oldest bodybuilder to win a national championship. So a lot of these just like across the board, you know what I mean? So for you, it's such a unique situation because, I mean, triathlon is one of these sports where there's really not too many like full-time professionals. If you think about the United States as like a giant pie. I mean, professional triathletes are like a sliver of a sliver of a sliver of a sliver, So what's the day like for you, man? So you're in New Bedford, right? Or Bedford, New Hampshire.
Yes.
And that's where the training facility is, or like what's the reason for having the facility there?
Yeah, so we train full time. There are 7 of us on this roster. There are 5 guys, 2 gals, and we live and train full time. And basically, we kind of chase the weather, if you will. So we'll be up in New England area for 6 months, maybe 7 months, and basically we have a facility with a nice pool. We have access to great tracks. The cycling and the running are incredible up here. Quiet enough roads for training and safe and all that. And then once it gets to, New England winters are brutal. Yeah. So we go down to Florida for the winter months. And a typical day, it's gnarly, but we do for a week, we'll go anywhere from 22 to 26 hours of training. So that leaves every day 2 to 3 sessions. You would love it, honestly, because I know what you do on a daily basis when it comes to training and you just love to hurt yourself. So
that's right. Glutton for punishment, man. That's
you really are. I see it on a daily. I do. And so we'll never lift anything heavy and do all that crazy stuff like you, but we'll do 2 to 3 sessions a day. And so, for example, on Monday we'll wake up, we'll have swim in the morning, whether it be in the pool or in the lake. In the early afternoon, we'll go for an easy, let's say 22 to 30 mile ride. And then in the evening, we'll do like a 40 to 50 to a 60-minute shakeout run. And we'll do that Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So 3 days of the week, we'll have 3 sessions. Tuesdays and Thursdays, really intense, specific sessions, specific swims, specific runs on Tuesday, and then specific swims and specific bikes on Thursday. And then Saturday and Sundays
are you talking like high intensity intervals or?
Yep. Yeah. You're looking at the hits and you're looking at all that stuff. So on the bike, it'll be like you'll have like a 3-hour ride and then an hour warm up and then maybe an hour cool down or 30-minute cool down. And then you'll have an hour and a half session of maybe you'll do 20 minutes hard, 5 minutes rest, 10 minutes hard, 5 minutes rest, 5 minutes at 120% race effort, and then kind of a cool down, or you'll do like 4 minute, things along those lines. But it all amounts to about mid-20s hours for countable sessions a week.
That's wild, man. That's I mean, if you're full time, right? I mean, it's literally what you're trying to be one of the best people in the world. Not only, and not to throw shade on like other countries or anything, like, but we have a country of 350 million people who we have a lot of really competitive maniacs, trying to get to the Olympics. You know what I mean? So to be like the cream of the crop in a very competitive country like this, I mean, you got to put in that time, right? I mean, there's no right. That's what really, like, when I first started getting into the sport, that's what really interested me about it, was like you can't hide a lack of effort. You know what I mean? It's when race day comes, I mean, it's how much work did you put in, and it's compounding too over the years. You're so green in it, and you're still like so successful. Think about 4 years down the road when the Olympics come around, or 3 years for the trials, or whatever it is. Like, think about all that effort that you're putting in. That's just going to compound. And I mean, think about the levels. Because your 5K in the sprint was like 15 something, right?
It was, yes, sir.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, that's nuts.
It's gonna take a bit faster there, but like you said, it's gonna take time, and it takes years to develop. It's a new sport to me, but yeah, it's gonna take that development phase, which is more than all right, because I've waited my entire life for it.
That's right. You've played it in your head a million times, so now it's just got to play out in real life. That's the only thing.
Exactly.
So you did Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday. What are your weekends like?
Yep. The weekends. So Saturday will be long run and then a recovery swim. So long run, we're talking 13 to 16 miles. Okay. And then we're talking 3,000 to 4,000 yards in the pool. And then Sunday, we're talking 4-hour ride, and then a 40-minute run immediedely off the bike. Because we like to incorporate that race feel. Let's cook the legs, and then let's run on those cooked legs. Because for everybody that's listening, in triathlon, you have to you jump off your bike, you throw some sneakers on, and then you have to jump into either a 5K or a 10K immediately after you just slam the bike.
That's awesome. So, I mean, it's 7 days a week.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is it year round too? I mean, I know you said you go from New Hampshire to Florida. I mean, it's.
Yep.
So how many days a month is there any days that you're just simply not training at all?
So just after this past weekend, we'll always have a day completely off, a recovery day, if we have a race weekend with back-to-back races. So this past weekend in Milwaukee, I raced the Saturday and the Sunday. I raced both days, so I had Monday completely off. But you'll go 1 or 2 months with not a single day off, because that might be like 2 training blocks. But yeah, I'd say 1 day completely off on average, maybe every 9 weeks.
Wow.
Or give or take.
Damn,
yeah.
That's wild, man. That's
yeah.
You gotta really love it to commit that much time to it. That's a lot of. I mean, people. If you think about someone working a full-time job, like say someone's working 40 hours a week. Well, if you're working 40 hours a week, let's be real, man. Like, honestly, you're probably not working 40 hours. You know what I mean? You're probably
on the clock 40 hours.
You're on the clock 40 hours, but like you're actually training, like doing one of the 3 disciplines probably as much as normal people are actually working in a work week. Yeah. That's a pretty wild concept to think about, right?
Yeah, that's fair to say. I'm not job shaming by any means, but what I do is very physically exhausting. So when we get to Sunday afternoons, you really feel it. We joke around and we're like, oh, Monday is a new week, reset button on our fatigue and our muscle fatigue and pain. But it's just like you're accruing and accounting for week after week after week of training that like you said, you stop thinking where you're going to be in 3 years for the next Olympic year, or even 7 years from now for that Olympic year. And it's just, you got to wind it back a little bit, but with that consistency, with, God willing, you're healthy. You think about that long term, and you're just like, if I'm gaining all this traction now, where the sky's the limit.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, I listen to all these like inspirational podcasts and quotes and memes and all that stuff. And one of the quotes that really stuck with me is, and it's cheesy as shit, but I don't care because I like that stuff. But one of them was like, or one of them I like is, a goal without a plan is just a wish, and that's, it seems like it's common sense, but it really isn't. Like if you have a pie in the sky goal and you don't have a blueprint as to how to get there, like in the minutia of the day to day, if you're just like, imagine if you didn't like have a coach, or you weren't doing what you were doing. You're like, I want to go to the Olympics, but I'm going to do my own thing. Like, that's impossible. Like, you're not going to do that, and
right.
So of the 7 people, well, I guess you're competing against 5. I mean, the girls, they're doing their own thing, but like of the 5 guys, where would you say you rank in the 5? I mean, obviously you're gonna probably say number 1, right? You gotta be you gotta be confident in yourself. But
I'm very confident in what I do, but I can honestly say with that confidence that I wouldn't put myself at the top. I would never want to be the best. If you're the smartest guy in the room, find another room.
I love that. And see, that's another one of those quotes that I like that.
Yeah, it's for sure. I wouldn't move, because I was living in Oklahoma. I wouldn't move halfway across the country to be around people that don't make me better, don't lift me up. Right. So by no means am I the number 1 overall triathlete in this housing situation. We have our strengths. Everybody has their strengths. I'm not a swim background. I have teammates who swam in college and ran in college. So I don't have that background. So when it comes to other disciplines, I'm by no means the strongest at running and cycling and swimming. I have my strengths. I ran at Oklahoma. That means competitive school, of course. So like I have my strength. I have my strength that I bring to the program. However, by no means, when you put all 3 disciplines together, am I the number 1? And I want it that way. Right. If I was, I'd find a new program. I want to train, and I want to be with the best. I want to be with people that are competing at the world level. And when I see these guys flying overseas, going to Morocco, France, the DR, and they're going on all these other races, it fires me up, because right now I'm at the domestic level and I'm ready to get to that international level. And I see it. It's tangible when you see these guys that are right there.
Especially when they're like a part of your inner circle. I mean, it's not like, they're part of some pie in the sky dream. I mean, they're right there. You're with them. You're training with. So when you say international stuff, are you talking about like the ITU circuit, or? Right.
Exactly. So WTS has like the World Triathlon Series, and the International Triathlon Union, the ITU Series, is all like these draft legal cups, Continental Cups, which will be in the U.S., World Cups, which will obviously be in the world. And I have teammates that are flying out to really every corner of the globe to acquire these points. We're all trying to acquire as many points possible to put us in contention for the Olympic committees to be sitting down at the table and say, oh, Adoh is bringing X amount of points. My teammate Mark Kubrick is bringing X amount of points. Grant Wiggins is bringing X amount of points. So we're all trying to get into these races, and you can't prove that you can represent the Olympic team without competing internationally and going against your competition when you get to the Olympics.
Right. So by the time you get to the Olympics, I mean, you've already competed against most of, if not all of these people at world events at some point, or cross paths with them at some point.
Exactly right.
Yeah. That's so cool, man. I wish the Olympics were, it sucks that they just ended, and I'm just meeting you now, because I can't wait another 4 years to see when you make it, not if you make it, when you make it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we when I was younger, I always, anytime the O word, we call it the O word, the Olympics is taboo. It's just, because I never really addressed this with my pops and all this, but like, of course he wanted to go. He wanted to make the O word, he wanted to make that team, and me having that dream, anytime anyone would say anything like, when you make it, because I surround myself with people that support me and build me up, and everybody always says when, and it's good because I can't say if I have a doubt in my mind, I've already defeated myself. I don't toe the line to shoot for second,
Right.
So I appreciate you when you say when, because I always used to have to knock on wood or say, whoa, we can't say the O word.
Right.
But now, like you said, that cheesy quote, but I kind of live by a quote like that too. It's just, if you don't have this plan in place, you're really just in no man's land. And if I can't say that I'm going to be an Olympian, I'll never be an Olympian. And if I always say it's just going to be a dream is where it's going to stay. It's no longer a dream. It's a goal. It's just like get a D1 scholarship, go to this, do that, get recruited, earn this, win this race, run X off the bike, go to the Olympics. It has to just be on this checklistable goal,
Yeah. And I think the awesome thing that you have is like, obviously not everyone can become an Olympian. It's like, yeah, no shit, goalie, like obviously. But I mean, a lot of things have to come together. It's just like any sport. You know what I mean? You have some incredible athletes who never make it to the NFL or Major League Baseball or, whatever you want to talk, but whatever sport. Like it's a lot of it's right place at the right time, and decisions that you make along the way, or even not decisions, like you getting injured led you to this path. Say you never got injured, maybe you never discovered triathlon. So you're in such a uniquely, I think, perfect position to where you just have to check boxes now. I mean, you're at the point where like you're a full-time triathlete, and not all, but I mean, it's right there for the taking. Just do your workouts, stay consistent, be dedicated, and the rest will take care of itself. And I think that's a really unique position that you're in, which is really freaking cool, man. It's impressive stuff, man. So outside of your triathlon training, what's do you ever do any type of like strength training, or is there any type of recovery? I'd assume probably a lot of recovery.
Yeah. So strength training, we'll always do body weight, band work. You'll rarely see me pick up a weight. A lot of our strength comes from the volume that we do. So I know you have an appreciation for like the strength side of all that, but our strength, if you will, you can become strong athletes without actually touching weights. So, and a lot of that strength work comes from that volume that I was talking about, that mid 25 hours a week, consistently. But aside from that, obviously recovery takes minimum an hour a day. Normatec boots, you're doing massage guns, stretching, rolling, massages, acupuncture, really everything you can think of, ice, Epsom salt, all that stuff. But for strength work, it's more along the lines of, on those intense days, what are you going to do immediately after your sessions? If you just did a track session, can we get some glute works, clamshells, monster walks, things like that? But when it comes to like when I was in college, we did a lot of Olympic lifting, like the jerks, the cleans, things along those lines.
Compound movement
now, exactly, because that can translate well into that fast twitch. You want that immediate reaction on the track from foot, plant, and then push off. But in triathlon, you want duration, and you don't almost need that explosion that Olympic lifting can do. So when it comes to strength work, that's very, very minimal in the whole scheme of volume.
No, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. I mean, the reason I do it so much is because A, I'm not going to the Olympics and I'm not very good. But B, it's like echoes of my football career. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't let go of like lifting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and I respect that. I really do.
But I'm probably doing more damage. But what are you gonna do? We all gotta.
But
live,
right? You have to be one of the most muscular by far, like when it comes to like mass muscular people in a triathlon, because you look and it's mostly these very lean, not very filled out athletes. And not that I'm as big as you are strength wise, but I'm on the bigger side. I carry a little bit more weight than your typical.
Dude, and people are going to listen. It's like it's just two bros fawning over each other. But for those listening, man, I on that second day at the sprint, I saw you on the phone, like walking around, and I didn't know it was you at first, which I should have by the hair, but I was all disoriented because I just finished. But I looked and I was like, dude, that guy's jacked. And then it was you. I was like, there he is.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, no, but it's true. It's like I've developed this like upper body mass from swimming so much.
Yeah.
I've never really incorporated that, but no, like yourself, like it's just, it's more challenging when you're carrying more weight, and it's just,
for sure.
but the thing is, we have strength. We bring strength to a sport that requires more endurance than it is strength. However, you can translate strength into so many different ways that's how we complete the race, you know?
Well, believe it or not, when I was playing football, I was like 20 pounds heavier than what I am now. So
Wow.
I was like around like 182 when I was playing football.
Wow.
Now I'm 160, 162. I kind of hover around there. But
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
what I was going to say was what I love about triathlon, like what really intrigues me is you can do it forever. I mean, that was like the first thing that the first race I did, like there was like 70 and 80-year-olds there, and I'm like, hold on, like you could do this forever. And then like I realized that there were like age group things, because that's where I'm at, you know.
Yep.
And, I was like, and then I found out there's a national championships for it and world championships, and you know, I was hooked. But like, it's cool to see. Well, first of all, I've mentioned this a couple times in previous shows, but like, I get so offended when someone will be like, "Oh, you're a triathlete," and be like, "Yeah, yeah," and they're like, "Oh, you know, which Ironman have you done?" I'll be like, "No, I don't do that. I do the sprints." And they're like, "Oh, and you plan on doing a real one at some point?" It's like, it's such like a slap in the face. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, I get it a lot.
yeah. I can understand. Like, I'm some dope who, you know, I pay to do these races and whatever. But like someone like you, it's like, you're on you're freaking like trying to compete to go to the Olympics, and people are like, "Well, you're not really a triathlete." You know, it's like, what the hell are you talking about? This,
you know. So I've been living with this for my entire life, Goldie. My entire life, I've had everybody, and I've been running track for more years than I haven't been running track. And everybody always say, "Oh, when are you going to do a marathon? You're going to do a marathon? What's your marathon time? When are you going to do a marathon?" Blah blah blah. I've never done a marathon in my life yet. Coming from a humble place, praise God, anybody who asked me that question wouldn't even be able to touch me in a marathon if I were to ever do a marathon.
I know.
But like, that's the thing. It's just like you're continually asked these types of questions like, "Oh, well, when you're going to do an Ironman? When are you going to do an Ironman?" Well, the thing is, Ironman isn't offered in the Olympics. The Olympics is my goal, and that's the epitome. That's the pinnacle of athletic success. You know, so that's the way I look at it. I look at it as Olympics, pinnacle, absolute highest level you can get. And you can't get to the Olympics via the route of Ironman or half Iron. So I guess it's just how I get through it. But if that you can just tell yourself that either. No Ironman will ever go to the Olympics.
Well, what drives me nuts too is like I get this all the time too when the conversation always goes this way. They'll say, "Oh, you do triathlon? That's cool. You know, when are you going to do Ironman?" And then you know you get the, like you said, the classic, "Oh, when are you going to do it? You know, when are you going to do a real one?" Yeah. So then the next thing is, "Oh, a sprint, what's that?" And I'll say a half-mile swim, a 12.5-mile bike, and a 5K. And then the next thing out of their mouths is, "Oh, I could do that." Well, it's like, I mean, I'm not here to just like finish. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here to like, I'm here to compete and like do the best that I possibly can. And that just like discounts the hours and hours of work that you put in on a weekly basis. I mean, I'm nowhere near you, but like I put in like 14 hours a week of training, you know, and
of course,
to just discount that, you know, because it's like, "Oh, I could do that." Well, great. Why don't you come to the next one and we'll race? You know what I mean? Like it makes me like so frustrated.
That'd be a mistake on their part.
It just makes me so frustrated, you know.
No, and I get that. I mean, I guess you could just use it to fuel your fire. However, this sounds terrible, but lions can't lose sleep over the opinions of the sheep.
I love that. That's freaking awesome.
It's easy to it's really easy. It's really easy to talk about it, but really, I want them to toe the line, hear the heartbeat on the start line, and then, you know, when it hurts, I want them to feel that hurt and then have to realize, "Oh shoot, I have to go rack my bike, and then I have to go complete a 5K." Right. That fatigue adds up and it builds so fast. And also, you're on a start line with 250 other people. Please make it to the other end of the lake without drowning, not getting kicked in the face, and being able to push through a swim when you have a foot in your face and you're getting kicked and punched in the ribs and you can't breathe, no access to oxygen. That's right. I'm not discounting what anybody can do, but if someone's going to talk about it, you really better be about it.
One of my buddies, because like, you know, we all have to find why we're competing and why we're doing what we're doing, you know, and someone like me, like I want to be an ambassador for the sport of sprint triathlon, because I think a lot of people don't really understand what it is in the first place. But then, once you get a step farther and people will say, well, I'm going to start off with a sprint triathlon. Well, for me, that's the end goal, because I need work-life balance. I don't have the time, to train for an Ironman. To me, just seems like you have to throw everything else out the window, and I don't want to do that. I have a million things going on. So the amount of training it takes to do a sprint triathlon is what I really like, and I like to be an ambassador for it. But so I make a lot of YouTube videos about the races, and I make a weekly vlog about the training and stuff like that, and I try to just be an inspiration to people. And my one buddy, when I went to Richmond, where I met you, I made a video of, because I guess last weekend wasn't as intense. I mean, obviously the swims are always pretty intense, but the one in Richmond, it really bottlenecked quick. And,
I remember, yep.
And I have the video of, I made the video of the race day, and my buddy, I think it finally hit him. Not that he ever discredited what I did, but he was just like, oh shit. And I'm like, yeah, man, you're getting kicked in the face, you're getting punched in the back, you're getting I don't know if
swam over.
Yeah. Well, did you see the video of? I know we talked about Chase earlier. Did you see Alistair Brownlee dunk him and get disqualified?
I did see that. Yeah, that's classic though.
That's wild.
It's fighting. Yeah. You're fighting for it, man.
I know.
That's how it goes. It happens every race. He just so happened to get caught.
Right. They were out in the open, so he got caught. But yeah, no, that's right. And so it was just cool to see my buddy have that moment where he's just like, oh, I didn't realize, because he's never seen a race before. He just hears you talk about it. But yeah, man, I'm a huge fan. And are you? So what's your next? What's a race season like for you? What's that look like?
Yeah, so my coach, I trust him with the entirety of my season. He writes my entire schedule, and it actually fluctuates. It grows and shrinks, per month. And the next one, believe it or not, is going to be a 70.3. I'm going to venture into long course for 2 races for my 2021 season. So nice. I'm going to do Timberman 70.3 half iron.
And where's that?
It's right up here in Laconia, New Hampshire.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to be doing that one August 22nd. It's very, very quick turnaround from Milwaukee, which was the short course. But this will be my first long course race. And then after that, we're going to kind of assess where we're at, because I think I'm going to, I don't want to put it out there at this very moment, but I think we're going to take an assessment after. We're going to address Milwaukee. We're going to address Timberman 70.3 in a couple weeks. And then we're going to see this elite path. Where are we going to go? Do we want to start these international races? Do we want to go down to Florida and do a couple more months, of these amateur fields or these domestic races, or where do we want to go from there? But we're not putting a lid on the schedule yet. We're still growing and developing it a little bit as we go. But after the month of August, we're going to assess and see, all right, do we want to start acquiring these international points for the OC, for the Olympic Committee, or do we want to continue to develop this swim until we feel as though I can get onto a start line, get to an Asian Cup or a European Cup, and then be able to finish well enough to acquire those points?
No, that makes sense. I'd assume it's always a moving target. I mean, it would be virtually impossible, I guess, in January to plan out the entire year, because you're going to see unforeseen things, or you may develop strengths, or maybe you do the 70.3 and there's some blaring weakness, where you may have to work on something, or
exactly. Yeah. And that's why we're going to do it. We're going to see if we can exacerbate or pull out what's my true weakness. And the way that we're going to be able to do that is by, I'm training for short course. Let's put him in a long course and let's see where he starts to break down. If it happens, we do such high volume that we can do the long course, but once we put each discipline a little bit longer than what we're training for, we're going to be able to develop. We're going to see some pinholes. We're going to see where
it starts to magnify, leaking. Right? Or it
exactly.
Yeah. The higher the volume, the more. What's the word I'm looking for? The years of football, man. My brain's all knocked around, Magnified. Magnified is the word I'm looking for.
Couldn't think of that. Well put. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's interesting. Well, August 22nd, Timberman. You said, what's it called?
Timberman. Yep. Timberman.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. We'll make sure that you, what I like to do too is I like to use this. I'm trying to create a platform where I'm like a central location for people to get to know a personality, like you, and share your social media stuff or however we can follow you, any websites that you have. Yeah. So anyone who listens to this, I put in the notes afterward, how to follow you. So I'm sure you'll get some fans after this because I'm definitely going to be talking about you a lot, man. I am very excited for you. You've a ton of really cool stuff going on. So outside, I actually wonder this. So you're training, in the mid-20s of hours a week. And I'm sure after that third workout of the day, your head just smashes the pillow and you pass out. Like, do you have time for any, anything else? Do you have any hobbies or anything like that you do outside of training?
Goldie. My social life is zero. I have my teammates, my friends, my family, my training partners, my therapist, my everything. Aside from this little small bubble I got, it's very little social life. We don't have much time or energy for that matter to do much. It's more just a matter of practicing, recovering, doing it all again, repeat.
It's so crazy to think that when you watch the Olympics, it's just a culmination of it's just countless hours of work and effort that goes into this that I think it's just so underappreciated by people who really don't understand, the sacrifice that you make on a daily basis to do this. I mean, what you do in a day is more than most. I mean, you're doing basically a triathlon a day, more than a triathlon a day, depending on
more than that.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, that's just in and of itself. Do you know who Cam Haynes is? Do you know him? Cameron Haynes?
I don't know.
So I listen to the Rogan podcast a lot.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
One of his good friends is Cam Haynes, who's one of the best bow hunters in the world. But he's got his own company and he works like a 9 to 5, but he'll run. He's an ultra runner, so he'll do the Bigfoot 200 and all those crazy races. And, he does when he's training for something, he'll run a marathon a day before work. So he'll wake up at 4:30, run a marathon, get ready, go to work, and then bow hunt all day or after work. And there's people like that. It's just I love the idea of human potential because it's unfortunate. It seems like the default is to just settle in your early 20s and then just ride it out. It's unfortunate.
Right.
And
right. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm attracted. I've always kind of been different than everybody else. I've always lived outside the norm, and I just the idea of human ability to me is I'm attracted to people like that, like you. I don't want my Instagram or Twitter or Facebook feed to be filled with angry people who have nothing going on that are complaining about lockdowns or COVID or politics.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
I mean, obviously, I care, but I want to watch success. I want to derive motivation and success from my inner circle. You know what I mean? And that's
right.
Yeah.
Your motivation has to be rooted in a place that's ultimately going to make you better mentally. You don't want to. And that's the thing. Social media can just be incredibly distracting. You can just be scrolling all day. Little do you know, an hour just went by, and you just filled your head with a bunch of garbage.
With nothing. With nonsense.
With legitimately nothing. But and it's cool because I never heard about this guy's sport. He does bow hunting, and it's just some people don't know what triathlon is. They don't. They know the three, but with three of what? And it's cool because it's everybody in every sport. It has that elite group. There's an elite mind in bow hunting, and I'm so unfamiliar with bow hunting. But there's an elite mind in there, and there's someone dedicating just as much, if not more, but just as much energy, time, and mental effort and energy than what I do towards my passion. Well, that maybe some people don't care about, but I do.
And that's exactly so. And it's cool because you're episode 43. So now I've interviewed 43 people who are incredibly passionate about what they do in a ridiculously wide spectrum of different things. So actually right before we got on here, I was talking to, have you ever heard of the sport called Can Jam? Do you know what that is? Have you ever heard of it?
Yes, I have. Yep.
So I had the best Can Jam player in the world on my show. And he, who'd have thought? And there's world championships for it. He's the 5-time world champion. Every year he's gone, he's won. And it's just become too easy for him. When he goes, it's perfect every time, him and his partner. And it's interesting because they're cousins. And, on the show, I was talking to him about, how the hell did you get so good at this? Because you think, like we were talking about with triathlon, when you say the distances of a sprint, when someone's like, oh, I could do that. Think about how many people are just like, oh, I'm the best can-jam player there is. I'm like, well, this guy has won everything that he's ever been in. And
actually, he's the best.
he's definitively the best can-jam player that's ever lived. And talking to it, so right before I got on, I was DMing him because he shared something about a competition he's going to be in this weekend, and it's just going back to like what I was saying before. It's cool to see my timeline filled up with all these people who are incredibly passionate about what they do, but the spectrum of what people do is just all over the place. And my problem is I can't be like you. Like, I'm so obsessed with like so many different things that like I have like the FOMO, like a couple months ago I did the Spartan race. The Spartan race came to Dallas and it was in the AT&T Stadium. And I was like, that seems pretty cool. I'll do it. And I did it. And I actually qualified for the national championship at it. And it was fun.
Jack of all trades.
yeah. Jack of all, master of none, But it was cool. And now I'm like, I have such an addictive personality that when I find something I like, I'm like, if I can be competitive in it, I get obsessed with it. Do you find that, like, was that your personality at all growing up? Like, I mean, obviously you've been an athlete your whole life, but like, what's the motivator? Like, are you competitive, I assume?
Yeah, well, that's a two-part question. What's my motivator, and then have I always been like this my entire life? And it's, first off, yes, it's been, if you're going to do something, you have to do it at 100%. And that goes for literally everything. If I'm choosing to do something, it's going to be done to the best effort of my ability. So I've always had that kind of, I guess I don't want to say addictive personality, but if I have my thing, my teeth are sunk deep into that thing. If it's a new diet or if it's a new thing that's going to help get, because Goldie, no matter what, almost every minute of every hour of every day, the Olympics goes through my brain. So that's the thing. But everything, if it's the diet, if that's going to get me 0.5% closer. So every little thing, yes, I'm obsessed about little baby things.
Right.
My motivation's completely different. And you would think the motivation comes from the Olympic rings when I was 11, but ultimately I'm incredibly faithful man. I'm a man of God. I'm a man of faith, and I can't go however long of a podcast this is without saying that. So my motivation actually comes from, I guess, my faith or my religion, if you will. And I feel as though God has gifted me with another day. God has gifted me with this passion, this ability, this platform, if you will. So he is actually my motivation. He gives me the energy that I need. He gives me this passion that's just burning inside. I mean, he's given me this goal. And I feel as though he's given me this platform such as so. So to give it back to him, I can't boast. If I'm going to boast, it's going to be in his name. So
that's awesome,
that my motivation ultimately comes from my God, and the goal that he has provided me is the Olympics. So he's here, and the Olympics is here.
That's
just because
awesome,
he
man.
provided that for me. So I had to say it.
No, I appreciate that, and religion certainly keeps you humble as well. That's
no doubt. And like you said, it's like, what do you do when you're 3 sessions into the day and you're just done, and to have that as my foundation, if you even want to call it a bad day, but you'll always have that. I'll forever, my family is the best support system in the world, but I will always have that support system of my faith. That'll always be, it's not even a crutch. It's both my legs.
That's great. Yeah. I like that phrase. That's really cool, man. That's good to hear. I mean, it's,
yeah.
Obviously, you're looking for my approval here, so there it is.
That's right. You're right. I solely desire the approval of man.
But you did actually.
No. It's just you can't. And it's. I know we hear it all the time, but it's like, how many marathons? When are you going to do a real Ironman? When are you going to do a real triathlon? When are you going to? I can do that. That's people seeking the approval of man. I don't toe the line, Goldie, to approve my coach or get my coach's approval to approve the International Olympic Committee. Those people are here.
Right.
I'm trying to impress
They're in a rearview
the God
mirror.
that created
in the rearview mirror.
Right.
They're not
gone, man. That's why and that's just in one ear out the other. So that's for me, I have a higher standard, the standard that
Right.
he with the capital H provides.
I love that, man. I really do love that. It was funny when I first made the Team USA age group team. I was so proud. You know, I'm just like, this is
As you should be, as you should
like
be.
this is so cool. I get to travel the world, and like I proposed to my fiance in Lausanne at the World Championships, and
Yeah.
it's so funny, like because I was so proud. I just like you, like if someone would want to bring it up and talk to me about it, I would talk about it, and
Right.
I would say, yeah, I compete for the Team USA amateur age group team, and people were just like, oh, cool. Like it was just like I went to the
Yeah.
grocery store today. Like it was the same
Right.
reaction. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
and
right.
you know what I'm just like. You know what? I stopped telling people. I'm like, whatever. If they're interested, they'll
Yeah.
talk about it. But so two things I wanted to mention. A, anybody listening, we have a live chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in here, and I'll be more than happy to ask Adoh himself. Adoh like Play-Doh. That's what he does. But what was I gonna say? Oh, you touched on something before. Diet. I got a question about diet. Like what?
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, you got to be a calorie burning machine. So how do you? First of all, what's your diet like, and then we can dive into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, so you're not even going to want to dive into it. It's just a matter of, just like my training, just like my calories. It's volume, 5,000 to 6,000 a day. Eat everything and anything. There's no no-nos. There's no I need this. It's solely for me. I'm not eating McDonald's every day,
Right.
but it's solely you need to get the calories in. Yes, you want to have healthy foods, you want to have the proteins, the carbs, and all of that stuff. But really, I'm not strict. I feel as though I'm so intense with every part of my life that I need to. Of course, I'm focused and I think about what goes in my mouth and what I eat. However, I don't apply that level of intensity to my diet just because. And when you talk diet and body and all that, it can be a taboo topic. However, I want to take just a half a step back from that part of my training, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you don't want it to be like all encompassing, where you develop like
Exactly.
an unhealthy relationship with food. I mean, that's
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you become a slave to it, and then it
Yeah.
starts deterring you from your training, and you're competing, and then you're in a different mental place. But no, I do eat clean. I do eat healthy. But when it comes to, oh my goodness, I'm stuck, and it just happened just 2 days ago. I'm stuck in an airport. I have to sleep on the floor of O'Hare in Chicago, and the only thing that's open is Wendy's or McDonald's. It's like, I'm not going to be able to train tomorrow if I eat
right.
fries and a burger. I'm very, very far from that. And anybody that is really intense, if it works for them, do it. But for me, I have to if I consume the amount of calories I need, I'll have the fuel that I need for the next day. And if it's I skip the salad or I ordered fries, it is what it is,
No, for sure. And you got to live a little bit, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
So the question I was going to ask you, so you mentioned, as far as like calories go, you eat like 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day, which is insane.
Yes, sir.
That's a lot of food.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you have a general idea like where you are in the day? I know obviously you're not micromanaging your food intake and all that stuff, but like that's a lot of calories. So do you know, like, do you typically eat the same things or?
Yes. Yeah. So I have my meals. I will always, not always, but I'll stick to my routine. I'll have 4 square meals a day. And I'll have 2 breakfasts, a pretty medium to large size lunch, and then an enormous dinner. I'll have like 2 smaller breakfasts. So one, when I wake up, I'll always do like a granola with a dairy. So I always have, because with the swim, you have to be, my tummy's a little temperamental when it comes to swim, but I'll always get the carbs that I'll need, whether that be like granola or warm cereal or cold cereal, and then a yogurt or a milk to kind of help settle my stomach. Go figure, it works for me though. And then after the swim, I'll have an enormous breakfast, and I'll have, I'll always do this. This will always be my post-swim breakfast. I'll always do an everything bagel. I don't like cheese. I'll do everything bagel with cream cheese, spinach, eggs, runny, and then I'll have like 3 pancakes, and that'll be like my big meal that'll fuel me for my early afternoon session, whether that be a bike or a run. And then after that session, I'll have sandwich and a salad. And then after that, an enormous dinner with all the carbs you can imagine. And I'm a huge fan of red meat. I eat a lot of lamb. So that's kind of what works for me.
My fiance just commented, "Yum." She's all jacked up. So we may see lamb enter our diet a lot more now.
Yeah, it's really common. It's common. My mom's Lebanese, so lamb is just like a common thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
in the diet. I love it, and you can eat it raw. So that's always a plus as well.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah. Don't just go ripping in through a grocery store and just. You got to make sure it's properly prepared, but yeah, I don't shy away from the red meats and the chicken.
Well, we're down here in Texas, so there's plenty of red meat down here. You know?
True.
I'll tell you, man, you're really inspiring to me. I mean, I'll tell you, that sprint, I had like the shittiest swim I've ever had, and I didn't even I don't know if I told you. Did I tell you I didn't even plan on going to Milwaukee?
Yeah, I heard that story. Yep.
So I hadn't been in a pool in like 2 months because I planned on really hitting everything hard. Because me and my fiance are getting married October 1st in Buffalo.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Go Bills.
Thank you. Yeah, go Bills. Let's go, baby. You know how to say. You know what's good.
I don't feel that way about the Bills, but I know your affinity towards the Bills.
I love that you said that. That's awesome, man.
Congratulations to you and your fiance.
It was at 57 minutes. That's going to be the opener to the video. Okay.
Oh,
awesome.
Gosh. I'm sorry, Patriots.
No, I'm just kidding. But I'll tell you after, and it to me it was just so frustrating having that bad performance at that race that I'm not the kind of person who shies away from a challenge. It just like I double down on it, and I'm like hell bent on succeeding in Tempe in November now. But having this discussion with you too is like knowing what you do on a daily basis for an Olympic distance, which still is, you said short course, right? Like that's
technically,
yeah. And I mean, obviously I'm not going to the Olympic, but I mean, there's an in between, right? I definitely can do a lot more than what I've been doing. And I'm going to really tighten it up, man. You're a huge inspiration for me. This is good. I'm very selfish with this stuff too. I like talking to people for selfish reasons because I just want to get all jacked up too, you know?
I appreciate. Would you say I appreciate that? And the story you shared before we even got on camera is actually one I'll never forget, and I appreciate your inspiration to me as well. But no, would you say the swim is your weakest of the three disciplines, as it is mine as well?
For sure, because for me, my problem is when I was in high school, I was the captain of my swim team, and I've never been like an elite athlete, but I'm always like good enough to be there. I'll win here and there. Typically I'd always place in swimming in high school. I went to like sectionals, like all Western New York and all that stuff, but like I was a sprinter. So it was kick as hard as you can for the 50 yards or for the 100 yards, or you know what I mean?
Yep.
And swimming in open water obviously is a much different phenomenon or experience than swimming in a pool. And, competing, like kicking other people and, kind of having them all up in your space, that's different. Wetsuits, never dealt with that.
Of course.
And just like the technical aspect of swimming out in open water, I mean, your feet aren't your motor, it's mostly upper body, like you can't kick as hard as you can. And
true.
It's that rhythm, and I'm finding this as the years go by in triathlon, that rhythm that's innate in me for swimming like sprints, like 50s and 100s, I can't break that pattern. It's really hard for me. It's like, coordinating the hands and the legs. So that's
right.
That's what happened to me on Saturday or on Sunday, I think. As I tuckered myself out from just going way too hard out of the gate, So that's my story. But.
Well, we do that too. And so like if I'm not giving advice by any means, but
please
if I've heard something I've heard something that helps me sometimes and from I don't want to say weak because I don't want to speak that, but from that's being the weaker of the three disciplines that I do in triathlon. I heard something that I just kind of sticks with me because I don't come out first out of the water, but the bike is my strongest of the three, go figure. But the bike is immediately after the swim, which is the beautiful thing. But I heard this one thing, and any non-swimmer that does triathlon might appreciate it. When you're when your hand hits land, that's when the race starts. So even if you had a poor swim or you feel as though you just cooked yourself, just remind yourself that as soon as you get on your bike or as soon as you hit T1, transition 1, that's when the race is really starting. That's what you really grind and train for, you know?
Yeah.
The swim in a sprint is, it doesn't break down time-wise into 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. You'll spend the most time on the bike, the second most time on the run, and the shortest portion of your race is always the swim. So if you can make it in non-draft, if you can make up for it on the bike, if you're in a non-draft race. So the race will always start. It'll always start once you hit land. And I can't attack it that way. My race is that way necessarily because that's a part of my race. If it's a draft legal race, I have to make the draft pack. So my race is starting to the first buoy of the swim.
Yeah.
But for some people, it's encouraging to hear, okay, I'm not the strongest swimmer in the field, but I'm a lot stronger cyclist and runner. So my race is going to truly begin on the bike, and I'm going to carry that momentum.
That's some great advice, and I'm definitely going to take that to heart. I think it's that competitive juice in me. Like when we take off, I'm just like, I can't fall behind. I can't fall behind. You know, and I got to get that out of my head. You know, that's a weakness for me for sure.
That's a blessing though too, Goldie. Honestly, like if you have that desire that just like refusal to quit or refusal to get dropped, then maybe you'll find a nice set of feet in front of you that can block some of the water, and you have a little bit. You're getting towed up buoy to buoy. You know.
Well, I'll tell you the first thing I did when I got back here. The reason I haven't been swimming for 2 months is I'm in Frisco, Texas, which is like 40 minutes north of Dallas, and it's where the Cowboys practice. So Jerry Jones like built a practice facility, like a city. It's crazy. And Frisco's just exploding in population, and it's a beautiful area. But anyway, I trained at what's called Cowboys Fit. So it's like the Cowboys practice facility gym. And my pool was on the roof, and it overlooked the practice facility. So I could swim, and I could see, Dak throwing around, or like I watched them do OTAs.
Yeah, cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
But I wound up, I had to kind of like weigh my pros and cons, and that's why I joined F45, because I was like, you know what, I don't need to be like tossing a ton of heavy weight around. I don't need to be like bench pressing. Like that's football mindset. Like I don't need to do that anymore. So mentally it was a big step for me to like go from that to F45. But at F45 there's no, it's just like functional training. There's no like sauna or pool or anything like that. So since I had no intention of coming here to Milwaukee, I was like, you know what, I'll just do F45 for the summer. I'll run and bike, and then like 12 weeks out from Tempe, what I'll do is I'll just join a local gym here, so I can get the pool and then really dive in. But figuratively and literally. But
True. Touche.
That was cheesy. So then I still have doubts about Tempe actually happening, just because of COVID and everything like that. Mm-hmm. It's just, that's why I was like, I got the spot in Milwaukee, I'll go. But literally, I got off the plane in Dallas on Monday or Sunday, and Monday morning I went to LA Fitness and signed up for membership so I could have the pool, and I've been swimming every day since. And so that's kind of my mindset. You know what I mean? I can't have that happen again, because it was so embarrassing how bad that swim was. That was just like, because I wouldn't have been so cavalier about it if I thought if I thought the possibility for me to like almost drown in the middle of the lake existed. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? But
of course,
I don't think I told you.
If you don't use it, you lose it,
dude. I'm telling you, I wish. Because I'm humble and I can laugh at myself. I really wish, and if someone listening was at Nationals and has a picture of this, please send it to me. I was literally flopped on the kayak. I was just like, dude,
that's why they're there.
I know, but I was like, oh, I'm that guy. They gotta follow me in the damn kayak now. Dude, I swear to God, I got under past the bridge around that first. I was right coming up on that first. Pylon, the yellow one.
Yeah, yep.
And my brain just was like telling my body to move, and my body just wasn't moving. And that's never happened to me before. I'm like, it was scary. I thought like something was really wrong with me. So I was just like, I'm like, help. And the kayak came over and I flopped on it and I literally said every swear word in the book. And I think I scared the girl in the kayak. The girl was like, do you need the jet ski? And I'm like, no, I'm finishing this damn race. And when I got to transition, so I finished the swim obviously, but when I got to transition, I ripped my goggles off and I just threw them on the ground as hard as I could, and I broke them. And because I was just like so beside myself, because that's not like me. But I thought you'd enjoy that story.
No, I do, and I'd be lying if I said I've had flawless swims that I didn't sit up and stop. So it happens, man. The swim it's such an anxious environment. So don't fault yourself. You finish the race.
Yeah,
period.
And that's one of those things. And I wound up passing like 20 people afterwards, so it's not like I came up last, But Mo Allen, he's a guy I met through Zwift. Have you ever done Zwift, or do you know what that is?
Oh, I'm familiar with Zwift. I don't personally use it.
So I
know it.
I met Mo through Zwift on Twitch. I stream like Zwift on Twitch a bunch, and he's a triathlete. He's done some tries as well, and he said his path around the swim course has been pretty comical because he's really bad at sighting and staying in line with the buoys. So let me ask you, I mean, based off of that, do you have any advice about like sighting? Like, how do you practice that? Or is there any good techniques or tips that you can pass along?
So we practice sighting all the time. And because our coach is out there with a rangefinder, he's got his laser to the buoy, and he always says the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. We got to line you up here, and you're going to swim perfectly straight, and you're going to swim a shorter distance than everybody else, because if you're going like this and like this, like this, you're swimming too much. Yeah. But the advice is get out of a pool, because a pool has a line at the bottom. You take that for granted. You can shut your brain off and just follow the line with your eyes in the pool. You got to get out of the pool. You got to get into a lake. And fortunately, we have a coach who follows us in a kayak and sets the buoys up so we know where to sight. But you have to get out there, and we do this. We practice. You can breathe, of course. You can bilateral breathe, but don't sight for 20 strokes. And find your stop point. Put a buoy maybe 100 meters away, 100 yards away, and just do 20 strokes. And then see which side you pull to. If you end up really veering left or really veering right, then you have to make those adjustments, compensate, and then do it again. And just do it a couple times until you figure out what side you're pulling a little bit stronger on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
And then instead of doing the 20 strokes without sighting, then you can do, I'm pulling a little bit more on the right, so I'm going to pull a little bit more on the left now and see if I can do it. And then instead of sighting 1, 2, 3, sight, you can do a full cycle, 3, still breathing, of course, 3, 6, 9, and then on that 12th, then you sight. And that's what we do. We almost force ourselves to keep our head down and then catch that sight after a couple cycles extra.
So your suggestion is for practice, 20 strokes, and then in a race, you're doing it about every 12?
Oh man, I wish I could do 12. I get panicky in a race, and I'll do it anywhere between 6 and 9, because I'll just breathe. I'll breathe to the right every time, because I want more oxygen for that. I'll train 1, 2, 3 bilaterally, but I'll laterally breathe in a race, and then I'll probably do 6 or 8 before I sight. But if I got some feet in front of me, and if I can feel it, then I can use them. Or if someone's right next to me, that's key too. That's a huge like cheat code right there. If you got someone right next to you, rely that they're going to be sighting every other breath. And if they're going in a straight line, if you're breathing to your right and you see them, you just stay right there. And if you're staying equidistant from them, rely that hopefully they're sighting. And then you just take that free pass.
Oh, that's interesting. All right, cool. Mo said he said he'd be back on land if he didn't sight for 20 strokes. So.
Well, you're pulling one side extra, Mo, if you're doing that.
Oh, that's funny, man. Well, I will. I'll tell you what, Adoh. We're at about an hour and 10 minutes, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. But before we go, what didn't we talk about? Was there? I know this is like really loose and this is just a casual conversation. But is there anything that you were prepared to like talk about, or that we didn't, or anything that you like to put out there? The floor is yours, my friend.
Goodness, I think I like more organic conversation. I didn't have anything planned. I couldn't do what I do without my support system. Obviously, my faith is the strongest of all of them, but my support system is absolutely enormous, Goldie. I have a family, my mom, my dad, my best friend, who's my sister. They allow for me to do this because what I do is very selfish. I miss family events. I miss a lot. I train full time. And so what I do is a selfish. Excellence takes selfishness. Support system is everything. And my family is the first and forefront of that. My sponsors as well. I have some incredible sponsors that help fund this Olympic dream that I have. So ultimately, I'm able to live towards my dream of becoming an Olympian because of ultimately my family support and my coaching staff and my sponsors. And so this is the cheesy portion, but I really am just so grateful to have that support system. And I got a small circle, but anybody that's in that small circle is making me so much better. And those know who they are. So
that's great, man. I mean, you could tell that's very heartfelt, and you're genuine in everything that you say. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you in the short time that we've met, and been in contact. But Mo, he says, good luck with your long course journey. Gives you a little fist bump there. So
thanks, Mo.
You got at least one more fan here. But for those listening, it's Adoh. I'll put the links to his social media channels. We got Instagram. What else? You got anything else that you?
Yeah. We're actually currently in the process of making a website with a homepage and all these tabs and all this information. It'll be done hopefully by October. So that website, I can send it to you once it's all finalized.
Absolutely, and we can always add that at a later date.
Awesome.
But thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. It's like I said, it's been a real pleasure to get to know you, and looking forward to following your journey, man. I mean, I can't wait to see the success that you're going to have in everything that you do. You're an absolute friggin' monster. And thanks again for taking the time to come on and share your story about your journey and inspire others that are looking to get into triathlon.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Goldie. You're awesome, man. Anytime I see you at a race, you're a ball of energy, and I love it, and I appreciate the time to share a bit of my story with you.
Well, hopefully you see it at a couple more, man.
That's right. God bless you, brother. Thank you so much.